Greetings to Charan sir. We, the members of Group 7, will be presenting our ILCH CIA 3, and to do so, we have with us our friend Prathna, Jedediah, Nihal, and myself, Matthew. The main question we'll be addressing today is in India, the fusion of the two systems of administration and justice, the Supreme Courts and the Sardar Divani Adalats, brought about by the Indian High Courts Act 1861, was a major and significant step towards the process of evolution of high courts. We will be explaining the advantages and disadvantages of unification brought about by this act, whose effect can be felt even today. And to talk about the Supreme Court of India, we have our friend.
Okay, so a great step was taken in the Indian legal history when the Supreme Court of Judicature was created at Calcutta under the Regulating Act of 1773. So the Supreme Court in Calcutta was constituted independent of any other power in the land and was entrusted with a wide jurisdiction and undefined authority, as it was also established under the British Crown. So its jurisdiction of the court was implemented over the presidency towns, and judges were professionals with at least 5 years of standing as lawyers. And when it comes to the decision of cases, English laws were applied. Over to the next slide. So the Sadar Divani Adalat was the Supreme Court of Revenue in British India, and it was established at Calcutta by Warren Hastings in 1772. It was reformed in 1780 and again in 1793 by the British Parliament. So its jurisdiction again was over all the territories of the company except the presidency towns, and judges were appointed by the Governor General and the Council. So one major drawback was that the judges appointed were the servants of the company and they had little to no legal knowledge. And again, the decision of the cases in this court were applied on the basis of English laws. Over to Jedediah.
Setbacks in the working of Supreme Court and the Sada Diwani Adalats. As previously mentioned, the judges of the Supreme Court had 5 years of experience as lawyers, whereas the Sada Diwani Adalats judicatures were of little or no legal knowledge, and they often conflicted with each other. As the Diwani Adalats had company members as its judicatures who were also involved in administration, and they also did private trading, which had no restriction up until this point, and they faced clear disputes among themselves while making decisions in the matters of courts, and they often conflicted with their personal interest. And up until this point, there was no clear mention over the jurisdiction of natives. The Hindu law was not comprised or not created up until this point, and each of the presidencies had their own Supreme Court, which conflicted with their own presidency Sardar Diwani Adalats, as the people with legal knowledge or in English law and the people with no legal knowledge were conflicting among decisions. Multiple court resulted in conflicting decisions among the English presidency itself, and there was no clear mention of the law which judicates the natives, as the Hindu law was not compiled, and the Muslim and the Mohammedan law, which was up till this point, which was comprised during the days of the Mughals, were not also applicable, as the system collapsed with no power. Next slide, please. After 1858, when the high courts were established under the crownship without the interference of the company, as the company was withdrawn its powers after the first Indian revolt of 1858, the Supreme Courts in the states, in the presidencies of Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras, was decreased their powers to this High Court of Calcutta, Madras, and Bombay, and the Sardar Diwani Adalats were abolished in presidencies, whereas after the 1858, the administration was separated and the business was separated. Thank you. Yeah.
The law which the High Court applied was same as the law applied by the Supreme Court, that is the English law. However, the High Court was also allowed to use the principle of justice, equity, and good conscience on the appellate side. In criminal law, it followed the IPC's Indian Penal Code of 1860. Whereas for the jurisdiction of each high court depended on the letter of patent issued by the crown. Based on that, the high courts were given original and appellate jurisdiction. Original jurisdiction were given based on civil, criminal, revenue, admiralty, and testamentary jurisdiction. And appellate jurisdiction was given on civil and criminal matters. This act also specified the jurisdiction jurisdiction was made available over natives also. Next slide. The advantages of this act. This act ended the dual system of courts. That is, it cleared it merged the Supreme Court and the Sadar Divani Adalat, and it hence and brought in High Court, where under the High Court the procedure became fast and speed and was more effective. This act also established the present legal system in India, because the Bombay and Madras and Calcutta High Court established back then are still working, and this court also brought in the directives for the appointment of judges, which is still in use. This act established a rooster system wherein the judges appointed would elect the Chief Justice of India, which is called the rooster system. This rooster system is still practiced in India.
Coming on to the disadvantages of the Act, most of the laws introduced in the Act favored the British and not the Indians. Judges and jury members of the court were mostly dominated by Europeans, and the Indians were often given a second fiddle status still. Even though the act was introduced to bring in a positive effect in the life of Indians, the act most of the time failed to achieve its goal and never really served the purpose of bringing positive influence to the Indians. Not only to the normal Indians, the act was not successful in stopping the exploitation of tribal people, and it never resulted in any uplifting of them as claimed by the act. So with this, we conclude our presentation. I take this opportunity to thank Charan sir for giving us the opportunity. It was really fun doing this thing as a team, this work as a team, and it was really a great learning experience for all of us. So thank you, sir.